I'm going to show you today how to install the Santec 1/2 inch thermostatic valve, and it's pretty simple if you follow these procedures. First thing you want to do is find out the thickness of the finished wall. The reason for this is when you install the valve, you want to make sure you don't put the valve too far deep in the wall or too far forward. On the mud guard itself, there is a min-max on it. So you want to make sure that you fit the finished wall when installing the valve in between the min and the max. So I have done that already and I'm ready to start. I will be taking off the mud guard, and to save time, I've only put one screw in. Take the screw out. And the mud guard will come off. And once the mud guard comes off, your next step is going to be to flush the lines. So to flush the lines, you need to take out the cartridge and bolt stops. Okay, so next, what I'm going to do is take out the hot and cold stops. And they unscrew out. Next, you want to take out this plastic temperature control sleeve, and it just comes right out, pops out. Next, you want to take off this brass sleeve that holds the cartridge in. And that will unscrew off the valve. Next step is taking out the cartridge. And the cartridge will come out. You need to pry it out a little bit. Take that out, now you're ready to flush the lines. So you turn the water on, let the water run for a few minutes, and any debris or solder caught into the lines will come out of the valve or the stops. Also, when you're heating up the valves, the hot cold inlets, the piping, you do not want to heat and solder too close to the inlets of the valve. If you do, you may damage the cartridge, which has a rubber O-ring and plastic, or there's check valves in your stops that you might also ruin by heating it up too close to the inlets. So make sure you don't do that. So once you run the water and everything is flushed out, you just put it back together again. Now the cartridge itself, putting it on, it has a red line on the stem itself, which is the broach right here. You want to make sure that's at the 12 o'clock position. It slides right in. It's at the 12 o'clock position. Screw back your stops. Make sure they're nice and tight. You put on your brass sleeve. This brass sleeve will screw on to the valve, and it will also keep your cartridge in place. Tighten. And now you're ready to assemble the trim. First thing you want to do is the diverter sleeve. Screws on. Screw it on till it stops. And then the cartridge sleeve also just screws on. And you screw it on till it stops. Next, you can put on your brass extension for your diverter. Your trim plate goes over. Just like that. Next, you want to put on your directional plate where the off is at the 12 o'clock position. Then you could put on your ring that will screw on to the sleeve that you put on. And what you're going to do is you're going to screw it all the way down till it hits the plate and secures the plate. Okay. Next, we'll put on your diverter sleeve, and this will also do the same, as it will screw all the way down until you hit your directional plate, and that will secure that. Okay. Next, you can put on your directional handle. You want to make sure that the lever is at the 12 o'clock position. So the female brooch will go on to the male brooch. Make sure that it's lined up at the 12 o'clock position. And that will screw on. Just like that. Okay. Next, after that, you want to put on your temperature control dial. First thing you need to do is put on your plastic sleeve, and there's a red marking that's the 12 o'clock position, and there's a red marking on the cartridge, as I mentioned before, that should line up. So put that on at the 12 o'clock position, the red marking, and push all the way down. Now this valve is preset from the factory at 100 degrees. So the red marking has a little shoulder on there, and that's the 12 o'clock position. Next you want to do, now leave it at the 12 o'clock position with the cartridge. What you do is you put your dial assembly on where the button is the 100 degree mark. I'm sorry, first thing you want to do is put on your sleeve so you don't have metal rubbing against metal. You have your 12 o'clock, and you'll see that it will not turn past 100 degrees. To go past 100, you press the button and it will go up to 120 degrees. Press it back and it clicks into position at the 100 degree mark. You have a screw that will hold on the dial assembly to the cartridge, and you just screw that in. Till it stops. And your final step is putting on a handle which has a Allen screw. Put it so it's facing 6 o'clock. Slide it over. Okay. And then you just tighten it from up underneath. And that will keep the handle on to your dial assembly. Okay. And once that is done, then you can turn it from 75 degrees to 120 degrees. And it clicks back into position. And that's how you will assemble the Santec 1/2-inch thermostatic valve. Thank you.